to another inspiring conversation in menopause breakthroughs, and tonight we've got Nicola Adkins, who is an ex-investment banker, now a transformational life coach and healer. So I've been inspired by Nicola's own personal transformation over the last 2 years, which has made Nicola more mentally and physically fitter than ever. She has battled lifelong anxiety and depression and has suffered 5 debilitating breakdowns. And Nicola made the decision, like many women, to prioritize and invest in herself for the first time. The journey has been like pressing a massive reset button, something that we love at the Key. So she pressed this massive reset button on life, and Nicola is now also dedicated to helping others to reset their lives and starting their life living on their own terms. So thank you, Nicola. Thank you very much for being here with us tonight.
Oh, my pleasure, James. My pleasure.
Brilliant. So what I'm going to do as part of these inspiring conversations, I'm just going to ask you some questions that kind of helps the other women understand the transformation that you've gone through yourself, and how menopause played a part in that as well. So first of all, could you tell us your career transition from investment banking to becoming a transformational life coach and healer? What inspired this significant and massive change in your life?
I myself was in a mental hole. I was actually going into another mental hole. So I'd already had 5 breakdowns, or whatever you want to call them, at various stages, and the 6th one was looking like it was gonna happen, or was halfway to happening. And I think that something changed for me. I actually got to a point, and I know this happened with a lot of people during COVID, something happened inside me, something just broke or changed, and I got to the point where I thought, I don't know how I can do this anymore. So I kind of put it out there to something bigger than me, right? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? What can I do to get over this, right? And from that minute, stuff changed for me. And because I think free will, I just went, help me. And then it started. So I just started being more aware of meditation and doing different things. And I started meditating. And then, I had this very clear message during a meditation, very, very clear, that I had to learn how to become a healer. It was very, very clear. It was wherever it came from. And also my son was he had very bad eczema. And I spent a lot of time worrying about him. And the message came through, learn how to be a healer and you'll be able to heal yourself and him.
Amazing.
So that was the message. And stuff was going on with my dad. My dad wasn't very well. I hated my job actually at the time. It was making me very ill, and the combination of everything. And then I just like, you know what? I'm done. I called it before it got worse. And that's actually a massive thing in itself, because so many people just go into burnout again. So I called it this time. I was like, no, enough.
Yeah. Taking action.
Exactly. I stopped it and I took action, and I just went into this massive growth journey, and started the healing business. And then learned how to be a coach, sorted out my son, sorted myself out.
I love it. Brilliant. And do you know, I think what you're saying there, it's that part where people would rather just stay comfortable where they are, even although it's causing them so much pain, that they just don't take that action. And it's something that I come across quite a lot with women experiencing menopause, is they either say that they just put up with it, or they just stay stuck where they are because they're unable or unwilling to take action to a much more transformative phase of their life. Brilliant. I love that.
And I think there's a certain amount of you have to be at the right place to do that, because through the other, mental episodes that I had, I didn't know anything about changing the way I thought. I didn't know there was an opportunity to do things differently. I didn't know there was something called self-growth. And when you're in a very low emotional place, you're shut off from that.
Yes.
You're living in survival mode.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with some of your ladies, they might find themselves, they're just battling on every day, right? And they don't know that this stuff is out there because they're too busy surviving.
You're absolutely right. That existence is what I often hear from women is, I am just existing, you know, so you're absolutely right. But sometimes, would you agree, Nicola, that you have to face into the pain, the darkness, and, you know, to understand, I need to face into that to be able to move away from it?
And I do agree, but I also think sometimes that can be quite scary when we say to people, you got to face this and everything. It sounds really horrible, right? And it's enough to make me want to run away. But and actually, one thing that I like to describe it as is actually what we realize is that fear of failure and everything doesn't really exist. It's just an idea. Because what are you afraid of? Yeah, what are you afraid of? Actually, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And we're kind of, what we think of is if we change anything outside of our daily life, that the whole world, the sea, you know, the sky is going to come crashing down. But we don't realize that actually, what is the worst that could happen? I'll stay as I am. You know. So I think fear, I was thinking that sounds quite harsh. I do get it. But I think what we do is we come up against the fact that the fear doesn't really exist, right? We're just seeing it as a challenge when it's an opportunity. Yeah,
absolutely. And it sounds like the work that we do is very, very similar, helping people to understand that there's a different way to look at this and a different way to be, and very same levels. I absolutely love it, and that's probably why your paths have meant to have crossed, right?
Yeah, it's all about thinking differently. Taking the diet, taking the opportunity to think differently.
Yeah.
And not to maybe change everything that you've done in the past, but just there's a path there that you can take.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant.
Especially with mental health or emotional health, it's the path.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, let's dive into your personal experience of menopause. As you know, it is really a transformative phase for many women. So how did experiencing menopause, I know you kind of alluded this to me and I was really interested to hear this. So how did experiencing menopause influence your own personal journey, and what role has that played in your decision to prioritize and self-invest in your own transformation?
I found it really hard. I'm not going to lie. I found it really, really hard. And I had postnatal depression really badly and anxiety. So there's a hormonal link, isn't there, with menopause as well? This is a massive hormonal challenge, imbalance. And I didn't even think I would get menopause symptoms until all of a sudden I realized I was going into this hole again. And for me, it was very rapid.
Right.
So, and I started getting really anxious, really, really anxious. And I couldn't control my feelings and everything. And I was like, this isn't happening to me. This isn't happening to me, because I've already dealt with all of this stuff. I've moved on. I thought I'd left it all behind. But actually, so what happened was I was faced with a menopause situation of all of the hot sweats, the not being able to sleep, the brain fog, just couldn't think, you know, and then so being in meetings at work and just like dripping in sweat and just thinking, what is happening to me, sort of thing. And then I had this double whammy of, but this isn't happening to me. I'm not having some nervous breakdown. I'm not going there again. So I think I was battling it as well. So I was trying to fight it off, resist it, which wasn't working. So I think it was like all the hormonal. So obviously all of the things that you have with your periods going completely crazy. And you know, sorry, it's my cat. You know, the things that you don't know whether you're going to have a period from one week to the next, and then they just come and ruin all your weekends away with your husband and stuff. So there's all of that. But then it was, for me, it was the anxiety. It's always been the anxiety. Always. And with that comes then the fear and the panic, and the brain fog. And things like that.
Almost losing your identity.
Oh, I was lost. I was completely lost. I wasn't working at the time. I can't remember why, but I wasn't working. And I think it was in between jobs, actually. It just so happened that I wasn't working. I was a mess. I could not cope on any level. I mean, it was really dark. And I couldn't sleep. This is what happens. You see, I can't sleep. I can't eat. I go to the doctor a lot. This is what happened in the past. I'd go to the doctor a lot. More antidepressants, HRT, beta blockers, sleeping tablets, Valium. I mean, all sorts of different things. And I'd be there like every week, crying, saying, I can't cope. I can't do this. And every day he looks a little bit more depressed himself. Oh God, it's you again. But yeah, it was really difficult. It was survival mode.
Okay, so you mentioned, your battle with anxiety and depression, and along with those breakdowns that you had. So how did these personal challenges kind of intertwine with your experience during menopause? But then how did that contribute to your decision to prioritize self-care and transformation for yourself?
I was so rocked by the fact that this situation had happened again, when I thought I had left all of this behind. I thought I was over all of this stuff. And it's a long time since I'd had a bad episode. I was, healed. I was an example of being healed. So I found it really, really difficult. Really, really difficult. And then I developed this breathing anxiety, which was one of the, we're going to get upset now, it's one of the lowest moments for me in terms of hanging in there, right, by the skin of my teeth. Literally. And this went on for weeks, this breathing. That's it, right? So, and I was literally getting to the point where I just thought, this, I cannot do this anymore. And that was the start of it. When I said, it was like, what do I need to do? Right? What do I need to do? It wasn't even a conscious choice. It was like, there was no choice. The choice was, I have to do this. Otherwise, I don't even know what the alternative is, right? And it's a very dark place, right? So it was a case of, but I've always been a survivor, right? See, this is it. So for me, it was like, it would get so bad. Then it was like, no, I am not going back into the psychiatric unit again. I'm not going there. Right? I am not doing that. And it's this decision you have to make. For me, it's all about, do you make an energetic decision, right? Which inside you, which goes, enough, right? Enough. Now I get to heal now. I have to do this. I didn't even know what it meant, but I knew I had to do it.
I often say that, our last freedom in life is choice. If we had no choice, then there's no freedom, and we always have that choice.
We do,
and it sounds like on more than one occasion, Nicola has been able to have that power, that strength, even in those times where you feel really vulnerable, really unsafe. You've been so powerful that you've been able to make that choice to bring you back. And that's really special.
And sometimes in the past, I think it was subconscious. I didn't even realize I was making the choice. But then with this particular situation, I made it. And I know I made it because I was on the urgent list, right, for counselling.
Right.
And it was a 3-month wait. And I remember saying to the people from the It was like through the NHS, and I was like, I won't even make 3 months, right? I'm telling you, right? So, but there's nothing they could do. So anyway, they sent me this pack, this CBT cognitive therapy. I've done CBT before.
Yeah.
And it was like a project. It was like a program document. I opened it up and I was like, how on earth can I read this? How can I read this? I can't even read a sentence without.
I'm struggling to function right now.
Well, this is it. Yeah. How can I, it was like a program document. It was massive. And I thought, well, that's just the most ridiculous. I threw it in the corner. But you know what? Over the 3 months, I kept going back to it. And I kept getting it out. I'm forcing myself. And this is the work for me. This is facing it. So this is probably the facing it. Right? I forced myself to read this thing. Right. And sometimes it was a sentence and I forced myself. And then it just reminded me that, like, you know what, Nicola, and this is what the CBT cognitive reframing was like. You've done this before. You know deep down you can do it again. And something it just clicks, and I'm like, I have done this before. I can do this again, and I will do this again, and it finishes now. And that's the power that we have, right?
Yeah, and I think that was really important. It's almost like, the reframing. As a key coach, I love all the Re's. So recreate, reframe, reset, readjust. Yeah. All of that. I just love that kind of and it's almost like you have to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
Reinvent yourself over and over again, but you have to repeat. It's, people often kind of come into these transformational journeys. They do the journey and they think, oh, great, that's me. But you will know this. You have to do it every single moment of every single day, right?
You do, actually. You really do. You do.
At all time, constant space, repetition every single day. It's so important. So
yes, that is so true. True.
Yeah. So you've discovered your calling as a transformational life coach and healer, which I absolutely love. So how did your personal journey through menopause shape your understanding of the challenges that the women face during this life transition, and how has it informed you and your work?
I think that is a childbearing woman. Do not, right? So I just really sort of, that's such a big, psychological pill that you need to swallow, really. And then, and all the physicality of it, the physicality of menopause is massive because it's like puberty, isn't it? But worse. Because actually you're not
100 times worse.
Yeah, you're not getting something good. You're getting something bad almost out of it, or so we perceive. But what I would absolutely say is, and really, really sympathize with everyone who's going through that really difficult time, is the other side of it is amazing. Because the anxiety, everything stops, right? This is when you get to the other side of it, that's when you get to realize that you can get over all of that stuff, because a lot of it came from a hormonal place. So I think, to answer your question, I might not have
no, that's brilliant. That was brilliant.
But you get to the other side of it, and then because I think, luckily for me, it didn't seem to go on for 10 years like some people.
Yeah.
I don't think it did. I think it was over probably about a 5-year.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you even realize when it starts or when it really finishes, and until all of a sudden you actually wake up every day and think, actually, I don't feel quite so bad. Right? I don't actually feel quite so bad. This is good.
Yeah.
And then when you get that, you lock it in. You go, this is good. I don't feel quite so bad. This is good. Yeah, and then keep going up from there.
Yeah, but I think what you're saying there is really important, Nicola, because some women can breeze through menopause. It's like, I don't even realize that I was through menopause until I was a year without a period. But then you have other women who can be in perimenopause for 10 years and then post-menopause for 10, 20 years. So it's such a significant part of a woman's life for her to just
Yes.
accept. And I'm not saying just accept, because I think acceptance is a really important part of it, but just accept that that's what you have to put up with. There's acceptance that there's change happening within your
Putting up
body.
with, isn't it? It's like putting up
Yeah.
with. It's just horrible, isn't it? As
Yeah.
a concept, what do I have to
Yeah.
put up with? It's just horrible.
I know. Okay, so your story is really inspiring. I really, really love your story. But being a transformational life coach and healer, you're now guiding people on their journeys. So
Yes.
can you share a rewarding or inspiring client success story that you've had? In particular, if you've got someone who you've helped to navigate through those challenges of menopause.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I haven't specifically had anyone that I've navigated through menopause, because, but my latest lady that I'm dealing with has just finished. She was kind of a bit like me. She was outside of menopause, so she's already finished it. But she'd also had lifelong anxiety. So she had done a lot of she's done a lot of hypnotherapy and other bits and pieces over the years, but she still had it because she still didn't really understand where it came from, why she had it, and what it was all about. And I think, so taking her back to this place of, so what really is under the surface, what bubbles under the surface when you think about having what you want in life, what bubbles up? And then it's all this limiting thought, isn't it, that comes up, says, yeah, but I can't do that because of this, and I can't do that because of that, and I can't set up my own business because I'm still working here and I'm doing this. And then we get to the bottom of it, that it was all to do with her mum, and stuff was said when she was young. Anyway, so she literally was like, I feel like I've been opened up like a box, like the potential. And that's what it's all about. So that's exactly what it's all about. So the potential is opened when you realize that you've lived to this familiarity of something that was set up when you were a kid, right?
Correct.
You just live. It's a habit, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's like anxiety is
paradigms.
Yeah, and I've been saying to myself recently, it was like I was addicted to being anxious. I think I didn't even know. So her story is like, potential being unlocked massively. And she said, I feel like no one was really listening to me apart from you, because everyone else says, and especially when you're going on this kind of self-growth journey, transformation journey, everyone's like, well, why are you doing that? There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong. You don't need fixing. But it's not about fixing, is it? It's about making that choice to prioritize yourself and go for something, right? Because you're not at the end just because you've had your menopause. This is the beginning of this.
It's a new season. This is a new season in life.
And she actually used that word, season, as well. The next season. And who's not to say that this isn't going to be the best one ever? In fact, it is, right? So that's her, my latest lady, so amazing. Because she was the same. I do end up speaking to people who come from an anxiety background naturally, because it just makes sense.
I like that, and I think we have a responsibility. You said something that no one has listened, and I think we have a responsibility as coaches, life healers, life coaches. We have a responsibility to listen, to make sure that they're heard, because there's no way that we can help that person if we don't listen. And I was working with, I was had my first conversation with someone today, and she said, I feel that I've been listened to for the first time in God knows how long. And that's what it's all about. You can't help them if you don't know where they're coming from.
And it's very difficult to do it inside the family group. Or the friendship group, because friendship group, at this time, everybody's having a challenging time, right? So this is why coaching is so important, because it's subjective.
Subjective, completely subjective, and that's where we can really create from, is that subjective part of our our mindset, which is really powerful. I've absolutely loved this, Nicola. So finally, Can you share your perspective on what living your best life means to you today, with a focus on how to help others, especially women experiencing menopause, achieving their best life?
Yeah, I mean, and I would say sometimes it does feel like you are hanging on. You are hanging on, but hang in there, hang in there. And every day, if you can try and start almost making this internal decision, which is, I am more powerful than this.
Mm-hmm.
I am more powerful. And it takes time. But
Mm-hmm.
then because the light goes out, right? A little bit, I think. And then the light comes back on again. I am more powerful than this.
Mm-hmm.
I am worth it. I am worthy. I'm worthy of everything I've done. I'm worthy of James and investing in him as a coach to get me through this. They are worthy of that, because they are worthy of the next phase of their life. And what it means to me now, I have never felt better. Never in my whole life. Because what you're taking them through is transformational menopausal coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the menopause, you're talking personal transformation. And the other side of that is peace, love, joy, harmony, living the life, not worrying about anything. Stuff. Yeah. It's just living in alignment, and fear becomes a thing of the past. So the best is yet to come. So stick with it. Dig deep. You do have to dig deep, but it's so worth it when you get to the other side. It's so worth it.
Yeah. I really, really love that. And I don't know if you're the same as me. I have a coach. So I work with a coach myself. And my coach said something to me the other day. You win at everything if you can let pain win. And what we were kind of alluding to earlier on is like you face that. You face it. If you can let pain win, you win at everything else, because you can just say, that's fine, I got you.
That's right. Because you realize, because when you acknowledge it, almost name it, right? So when you say that's that and that's that, you actually realize that it's not really as bad as you thought.
Yeah.
You just think you kind of made worse in your own mind. And you think, well, what's the worst? This is the worst that can happen.
Yeah.
Nothing. This program might not work, or that job might not work, but then the next one will. Because it's part of the learning.
Yeah. Growth.
So, in fact, it's all part of the journey. So when you realize it's all part of the journey, nothing is failure, is it? No. It's just a step. It's joining. We're joining the dots. So I love it. Proud of this amazing work you're doing there, James. Well done.
Thank you, Nicola. I really appreciate that. Now, Nicola,
with your story, it's
brilliant. Thank you. Now, what we'll do, Nicola will send me on her contact details, her social media handles, and I will put them with this video. So if anybody wants to even reach out to Nicola, that would be
reach out, follow. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, Nicola. Thank you so much. Any final thoughts?
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much. Take care.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself. And trust the process, right? Because it's all happening for you.
Brilliant.
All right. Good to speak to you.
Thank you, Nicola. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you later. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.